Iwelumo. And on this episode, we're joined by a man who made 239 appearances over 6 years, putting in 52nd on the all-time appearance list. Welcome to the Old Gold Club, Stephen Robert Ward.
Cheers for the hot full title. Cheers, lads.
You are perhaps the ultimate utility man, I guess, really, that you arrived as a striker, you went back to midfield, and then you created this incredible career as a fullback. When you go right back to that starting moment when you arrived, did you ever envisage that you would go on to be the international level fullback that you've been?
No, probably not, to be honest with you. I think for me coming over, I played back in Ireland as a striker, left side of midfield, left winger, so that was nothing new to me really. I think we'll probably touch on it later, as Loom said. I think the longer I got here, I seen the standard of people that played up front, and the way they scored goals, and it probably wasn't as natural to me to be a 10, 15, 20 goal scorer a year. I think my game was more about probably working hard from the front, really, linking play, getting the odd goal here and there. I was more of a workhorse striker, really, especially over here. So yeah, it was. I suppose I moved back to the sort of midfield left side, and then in a strange sort of occasion he put me in left back, and I've not moved ever since. So.
But you hit the ground running. It was 3 goals in 6 games. I think there was a couple of assists in there as well. You were the Championship Player of the Month for your first month at the club.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah, Liam's it was.
No, I'm just saying that
Stop laughing at me.
You've just said there that you look at the players coming in and they're scoring 15 goals, 20 goals. You've scored 3 and 6.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I believe in my ability. I believed I could score goals, but I think probably the difference I found when I came over here is at most clubs you had 4 strikers. I'd come from a club where there was probably 2, and then someone else that could play up front, or you could play in 2 or 3 different areas. And I think when sort of like yourself start coming in, Andy Keogh would come in, Sylvan was here, these lads have been playing top level football over here, scoring goals consistently. I'd only had a couple of seasons in Ireland. I'd sort of varied between playing up front, playing, left wing. So it was a different level, and I knew it was probably a level to be, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I would have got to playing up front. I think I could have done a job up there, but I don't think I'd have got to the level that I played at, being a striker.
Let me ask you this then. So, and I just want the listeners to understand what it is as a footballer, right? You believe, you have confidence in your own ability, but then all of a sudden you see the likes of Andy Keogh coming in, who's been in, scored goals, Scunthorpe, done whatever he's done. Then Sam Vokes come in, who's new. I've come in, I've scored goals, I think top goal scorer at Charlton. So as a player, does that, because people say, competition's good, it pushes players on. Where did you see yourself in that? Because Mick McCarthy's shown a lot of trust in you, bringing you in, and you've repaid that massively. But then you're thinking, 4 strikers, I've just said, Sylvan, Keogh, Iwelumo, Vokes, and then all of a sudden you were on the bench the first couple of matches. It was, where was your head at the minute? Because it is a difficult time as well, because you want to play, don't you?
Yeah, and I believed, as everyone does, that you should be playing, but I'm realistic as well. I knew when these lads came in, they were signed, they were brought in for money. I knew they were going to get their chance probably earlier on in the season. You could just tell. So for me, I had to find a different pathway, and I always cared about just playing. I always wanted to play every game, play me right back, play me centre mid. I'll do what I can to get on that pitch. So yeah, listen, I believed I could still play up front. I believed I could have been a big part of the team playing there. But sometimes you got to be realistic. And Sylvan yourself was scoring 20, 30 goals a season. Did I have that in me? Was I going to do that? I'd certainly have got maybe 10, 12 if I'd played every game, 13, But, there was that time that I knew them coming in that they were going to play in a weird way. You sort of know, you get that vibe, as you know as a player, right, he's going to go with these. It's going to be tough to get him out if they're scoring, which you were. So, obviously played a few games on the left side of midfield, and then, unfortunately, due to an injury to George,
I was going to say,
just come in as well, a fairly serious injury. I ended up slotting in at left back, and it was new to me, but it was something that I already enjoyed the challenge, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I loved learning a new position, and Mick was great with that. He'd take me off, show me clips. TC would show me clips of fullbacks, and I loved learning that side of the game. And to be honest, it probably suited me because I liked having the game in front of me. It was a completely different thing to having the ball kicked up at you. You know, you're battling. You don't know. You know, you're trying to, hold off.
There must have been a part of you though that's like, no, I'm a striker. Like when Mick comes to you and says, I want you to play left back. You're like, well, hang on a minute.
Do you know, I didn't care. I knew I was playing on the Saturday. When he said I'm going to start you left back on Saturday, I was like, I'm playing left back. Didn't mind. See, that's the genuine truth. I didn't think, I should be playing up front. I was just like buzzing on playing. And we were lucky enough. We won the first game 5-1 that I played. I think it was early in the season. We beat Forest 5.
It was George Elkobi injured the Ipswich away, I think it was. Yeah. So how soon after that did Mick come to you and say, look, I'm thinking of putting you in there? Because what I will say, if you put the 4 strikers, Keogh, Silv, Vokesy, myself, none of us challenge, none of us make tackles, nothing like that. You done that in training. You were one of those players that you could play in midfield, you could play obviously full back international. So you had that ability to change, but the importance in that, what I always say.
So what you're saying is you couldn't have gone and played fullback?
I could not, no chance. It's just one of those. It's like I like what they said there, and the game is behind me. It's me making sure that I hold up and link players in. Possibly I could go at centre back, but I'm one of those head it. I was one of those head it and kick it strikers. Never mind one of those head it and kick it centre backs. So I don't think many could have done what Wardy's done, and I've had to speak about this on other platforms as well about Wardy, how he trained, how he was, the importance with him. That I think as a striker, with the strikers that were there, I'm not sure. I think he would have come in and done a job.
Yeah, I'd have been a come off, but I don't think I would have been a starter or a regular scoring goals every. I might have if they didn't come in. I might have grown into that.
Yeah,
I was still young, but I think at the time they came in, they were established goal scorers.
But like,
and I could tell straight away, like they were. I'd get as much joy out of blocking a fullback clearing a ball, whereas these just wanted to score goals, and I was like, right, that's the difference.
But it's the thing of like when you moved to left back, didn't Mick sign Matt Hill?
Yeah.
Like not long after that.
Yeah, I think the strange thing was we played the year before we played Norwich away. It could have been, I think it was the year before away. And we went down to 9 men. Don't know if you remember that game. So we went down to 9 men and the left back got sent off. I can't remember who was playing. I think Rob Edwards might have been playing left back, or might have been, I might have got that wrong. But we went down to, and I ended up playing the last 20 odd minutes at left back because there was literally no one else. We were down to the bare bones. And I remember Mick after the game saying to me, "You'd do a job there," just like in a joking way or whatever. Like, I could see you doing a job there, like just sort of laughing it off, and sort of moved from the whole way back to pitch and played in the back 4 for the last 20 minutes. And you sort of laugh it off, don't you? And then, literally next year, that's my position, and I've not moved since.
It's just funny how you say like little bits of luck, because things could have been so different, couldn't they? You're talking about Matt Doherty there. Playing the day after the first team play, so he gets a run out, then all of a sudden he goes on and makes still having an amazing career, as are you. But to reach the levels at fullback when you've started off as a striker, you got to pat yourself on the back. I know you're still playing, so it probably hasn't really sunk in what you've actually achieved in your career, things that people will only dream of.
Yeah, no, listen, it's weird because I could never see myself being a fullback, and then it's on top of you. And to be honest with you, at that time, like you said, I'd played the first couple of years and then I wasn't playing, and that was new to me, not playing as well. And you start thinking, well, do I have a future here? Am I going to have to move on to play? Absolutely loved that at Wolves, loved the dressing room, like loved the lads, like loved playing for the club. But you start thinking, like, what's next for me? And then, like I said, it was unfortunate George had come in, got injured, and you sort of go in there. And the minute I went in, I knew after a couple of games, if I can do well, I've got a chance of playing a full season here. And you just sort of you just get so focused on doing well in that position, learning. Like, I used to watch so many fullbacks then. I'd never watched a fullback in my career. Yeah. I was like, fullback's easiest position in the game, everyone says. And I started playing, I was like, it's a tough position this. So I just started watching players and just learning. And Mick and TC were great with me. We had such a good team that year as well. We were. What helped is how I went into a good team. I went into a team that was winning. We were playing good football, you know, so I could also get forward, and that was a massive thing for me. It wasn't just that I was an orthodox left back. Because of the way we played, you could actually get forward and, you know, join in attacks, and I really, really enjoyed that year. Like, it was one of the best years I've had in my career, and obviously set me up for, you know, what I've done since then.
Well, just you're saying there about the work that you put in. I never even knew that you were sitting watching games and having that work. You know, I think obviously Mick and TC would have put you through your paces and gave you as much information as possible. So let us know, tell us, because I don't think people, they think, oh yeah, football's football, it's easy, but it's not, is it? There's different positions, there's different responsibilities.
Yeah, no, I found myself watching games from what the fullback was doing, which is completely strange, like I said, just watching a game. But TC was great, to be fair. He used to pull me in the office after a game or on a, you know, after a Tuesday, the Wednesday off, and just say, just have a look at these clips. I'm going to, you know, this is what you done well the weekend. I'm going to show you what other option you had. And, you know, Mick would do the same. So I'd sit and watch clips of Ashley Cole. You know, I think he was showing me Marcelo was playing for Real Madrid. But then he'd show me like players that were playing in our league, other left backs that had played there for years. You know, he showed me other lads that, you know, we were coming up against, saying, look, so you can see what he's doing there. And, you know, them tiny little factors or a little piece of information can make, as you know, a massive difference on a pitch. You think, right, this is where I should be when the ball's on this side of the pitch. There should be a yard or two here or a yard or two there. And
so at what point, because, you know, if someone came to Looms at that time and was like, you're a footballer, where do you play? You'd be like, yeah, I'm a striker. What did you say? Like, because you still played games in midfield at times. We'll get to the point in the Premier League where you end up going back up front for a couple of games. Yeah. So did you ever go like, yeah, I'm a left back?
I think I said utility man. No, yeah, I did. Yeah, I just do say left back. Yeah.
Because that's the thing, though. Utility man it's a weird phrase sometimes in football.
Yeah, and it's I suppose that's something that no player wants to really be tagged with. But for me, if I had to be a utility man, but it meant I played games, no matter where I played, that didn't bother me. But lucky enough, I did play the majority of them at left back.
That's a hard thing to do, though, because if you've got to keep learning new roles and keep contributing in different ways wherever you're kind of thrown into it.
Yeah, it is. But I think, I don't know, it's just, obviously I'd known how to play. I didn't play like right back or get thrown in at centre half, do you know what I mean? It was basically up the left or up front, really. I think I played the odd one maybe in behind the striker, but that was pretty much like being a striker. So it wasn't as many positions as you think, you know. So it wasn't actually that difficult to move around if you needed to. But I think for me, probably the biggest test I had was obviously because we got promoted that year. And then the next year, you're just coming up, you're playing as a fullback against a different calibre of footballer. And that was probably the biggest test. But, you know, I probably brought my game on even more because I'd done more. You know, I never used to watch players before games. Yeah. Never used to watch clips. But you find yourself watching a player that you might play against then and seeing what they do, where they go, and, you know, usually you just go out and you play, do you know what I mean? But now I was even focusing on that. And yeah, listen, I'm still learning now. I think as a footballer you're always learning. You know, when I went to Burnley, I learned a lot of Sean Dyche because he was a centre half as well. Another way of defending. I feel like he even improved me when I went there. So you know, you just, it's like people say, you learn on the job every day.
Because you got injured, didn't you, right at the start of the Premier League? Yeah. So you had a couple of months out from it.
Yes, I think I played the first 3 games and then I tore my meniscus in my knee, and then I think I was supposed to be out for 3 months, I think, and I come back early December, I remember, against Birmingham at home. I trained a week and I come on at half time. I think we were 1-0 down maybe. And then then played the rest of the season. So it was I was devastated when I got injured because it was obviously the first year we were in the Premier League. I think we lost at home the first game to West Ham, and then we won at Wigan on the Tuesday. So everyone was like, and I actually got the knock in the game on the Tuesday, and then I think it was Man City away we played the third game, and that's when it went.
But because there's the famous one, obviously, you kind of get yourself fit and you go to Anfield.
Yeah.
And the travesty of a sending off that occurs in that game. I think I was covering that game for radio at the time. What's going through your head?
I was devastated. Because I remember I'd obviously made a foul early in the second half, and we were actually doing quite well in the game.
Yeah.
And then there was another foul I made, and it actually wasn't a booking, but he booked Christophe Berra. And then Pepe Reina ran out with his goal the whole length of the pitch and said he booked the wrong man. It was him. So then Andre Mariner sent me off. And I remember him after, like, saying to me the next time I refed him, he said, we refed us, he said, if I'd known it was you, I wouldn't have sent you off. He said, I was booking your centre half for a top up of Fells.
Yeah.
So that's what I was sent off. And I was devastated because loads of my family and friends back home are Liverpool fans, and we ended up losing the game. So yeah, it was good.
So to get that redemption a year later,
yeah, it was nice.
where suddenly you're up front. It was in that weird period between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
I think it was live on telly, that game.
Yeah, it was on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, to go through suddenly back up front.
Yeah, I was nervous I was playing up front again. Don't get me wrong, first game at left back was nerve-wracking, but going back up front, I was like, didn't know what was going to happen. But yeah, I remember there was a few lads out injured, and Mick just said, I'm going to play up there with Sylv.
I mean, it was a great goal.
Yeah, it was all right, yeah.
What's going through your head as you kind of played through?
I couldn't even tell you.
Because he talks sometimes, goal scoring is kind of instinct, isn't it? A lot of it.
Yeah, that's why I'd
Yeah.
say I think more so you don't realise about your goal until you're walking back after you've celebrated, really. That's the way I
The more time you've got to think about it.
When it happens, it just happens, and I think you can see by the celebration I didn't really know what had happened, so I didn't know what to do. I just was that excited, and then you sort of calm down and you go, right, we're still in the game here. Because
I saw a stat that it was 130 appearances between your goals.
Yeah.
And that baffled me, because it's one of those things you always kind of just presume that you were scoring more, but obviously you were a left back for that period.
Yeah.
So to have gone that kind of length of times and then to get your first Premier League goal at Anfield in a massive win like that.
Yeah, it couldn't have been as bad. I think I remember when I scored for Burnley and a goal in the Premier League, and I think come up underneath my name, it was like my first goal in the Premier League in like 1,200 days. And I was thinking, I've been in the Championship for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Give me a break. It was like as if I played for 3 years. I was like, come on. But it was like, that was a strange night, but a great
Just
one.
before we get on to, I know Looms wants to move on, but there was a brilliant quote from Mick on that goal, which was, after the game, he said Pepe Reina ran 70-odd yards to get him sent off when he was going off anyway, and it didn't need that. If he recognises Wardy's face now, bearing down on him and putting the winner past him, then I'm delighted.
It was a good night for us.
Sweet justice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because Mick was a big supporter of you, wasn't he?
Yeah, to be honest, he was great with us all, and I think what he was brilliant with, especially the lads like myself that had come. He was desperate for us to do well and make a career in the game, because he'd seen us, given us our chance, and he really wanted us to do well. And the one thing with Mick was he was always honest, and I think we respect him. We looked up to him like we couldn't have respected him anymore. And I think when he left, like the way the lads were when he left, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. The lads were absolutely gutted, and because he had such an effect on us, not only in our career but as people as well.
Yeah.
I think like there's values in life that I have now that I think I got, from being at Wolves and being at this club for so long.
Yeah. You said there about when you got promoted that you obviously the Premier League was a harder task, but you improved. It made you better.
Yeah.
You'd say that for the collective as well. It made everyone better. They got more out of themselves. Had they gone as far as what they could go with obviously with the budget, the money, is that what you'd say went wrong for the relegations to come the way that they did?
I think we had 2 years where we done really well, staying up.
Overachieved?
Yeah. I believe so. I think in terms of where we were, if you look at the start of the Championship year that we got promoted, we were nowhere near the team that anyone thought, or any of the teams that they thought were going to be promoted. We won the league. I don't think many expect us to do that. You'll know that yourself.
Yeah.
We weren't fancied at all. Young squad. Then to get to the Premier League, and that's the thing what people don't realise nowadays, that I think Mick deserves so much credit, because we didn't have the budget that other teams had. We weren't spending millions of pounds to get promoted to make sure we stayed in the league. Our squad was pretty similar the whole 3 years that we were in the Premier League. There was obviously 3 or 4 lads in here and there, but the core of it was pretty much the same the whole way through. And I think that was a massive thing. I think nowadays clubs, you look at the clubs now in the Premier League, what they're spending to stay up, and we just didn't have the budget. That's just how it was, and we had to deal with that. And I think when we signed Fletcher in one of the years, I think he was record signing, and you know, it was a 6.5, million, and you look at, you know, nowadays, even back then, people were spending a lot more than that to stay in the league. So, yeah, I felt we overachieved. I don't think many people thought we'd stay up the first year.
So it was always coming. Like, you think that the relegation was always going to come?
Because you don't ever believe it's coming. You start every year with people doubting you, and you think, no, we'll. And I think that was one of the mantras here. We want to prove people wrong. We want to stay up. So that was it every year. The first year we done it, second year we done it, and then the third year it just became too much for us. And you know, a lot of things happened. A lot of, you know, it was a tough year for us, and maybe it did catch up on us. But as players, we didn't think, oh, it's coming. We thought, no, we can stay up every year here. You know, we're working as hard as we can. We'll prove people wrong again, and it just didn't happen for us that year.
You stayed for the Stoller year, the Stoller and Dean Saunders year. Could you have left that summer?
At the time, I didn't think I could, but when Martin O'Neill got the Ireland job, he told me he was desperately trying to sign me that year, and it never happened. So no, I didn't have any.
Never
offers.
crossed your mind to be
no,
trying
I
to
didn't
get a move.
No, I probably didn't think I was going to get one. If that made sense, I thought, yeah, I've done well for Wolves, but I probably didn't think on the outside, you know, there would have been. I thought there was other players in the squad that teams would be, you know, coming in after ahead of me, really. So I was just right here and ready to go again. Yeah.
When obviously, I know you've listened to some of the episodes. When Carl was in, he talked a lot about that. He just kind of didn't feel like Stoller got the championship, and that was a feeling that we kind of got in the media from some of you guys at the time. Yeah. Is that a fair assessment?
For me, yeah, it's fair enough. It's probably bang on, really. I listened to what Carl said, and I thought he spoke well about the situation. For me, when the club obviously got rid of Mick, and then TC come in, and then they decided to bring in Stoller, felt like they wanted to go down a new route. They wanted to bring in, you know, players up from the continent, play a different way. And that's what Stoller done, really. He wanted to come in and play this type of attractive football and, you know, possession based, whereas it was difficult because a lot of us had won the championship, been in the championship, and know that you can play football like that, but you have to have that steely grit, determination. You have to be able to win ugly on a Tuesday night, like as everyone says. You have to get them, you know, not every game's going to be pretty. So I feel like there was probably, I thought if we'd have got a mix of it better, we would have had a successful year. But I think it just, you know, probably just didn't work out at all, really, for him in terms of the way he wanted us to play, the way we were used to playing. And to be honest, I liked Stoller. I liked, you know, the way he wanted to do things. But, you know, what I felt sorry for him was if a club was going to change that much in terms of its identity and how they wanted to play, you need a year. You're not going to do it in 3 or 4 months. Do you know what I mean? You know, it takes time, and he probably just didn't have the time, really.
So how did you feel, having gone through all of that turbulent times, 6 years at the club, and then they come and tell you, we don't want you anymore? You're part of the group that's been pushed to the side.
I sort of felt it coming when Dean Saunders was in. There seemed to be a change of the guard in a weird way. I think if you look back throughout the second half of the season, we probably all started in the team, but then slowly but surely, likes of Kev Foley, Kevin Doyle, myself, Christoph, Carl, were sort of being left out of the team, and younger lads were playing, you know. And
Jack Robinson came in.
Yeah, he came in on loan, played. I think Jay Cassidy was playing up front ahead of Kevin Doyle and stuff like that. And you could you could just have that sense that. And to be honest, I think, you know, Dean Saunders was very honest. He said, "Listen, lads, you know, the club want to stay up and maybe go with younger lads." It seemed to be, from my point of view, a decision that the club were looking, and obviously it didn't work out.
So it wasn't Dean Saunders, it came from above his head to try and use...
It was never said, but from the way I saw it, it looked like we, at one stage, we weren't in danger of going down.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be, you know, the lads had been here a while, had been through the scars of getting relegated from the Premier League. Maybe let's sort of drip feed them out. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but that's how it felt. And then there was a stage then where they actually brought a lot of us back in.
Because it was reality that...
Seemed that's the way it looked, yeah. And then I remember we all ended up coming back in for a game away at Millwall late in the season, and then we ended up playing a few at the end of the season. Unfortunately, you know, we couldn't survive, and you know, but like Dean Saunders gave it everything himself. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know whether the decision to leave the more experienced lads out was, something the club wanted to do and go down a different path, but that's how it felt to us. And so it didn't surprise me when we come back, in pre-season and, the...
Kenny Jackett has that chat with you?
Yeah, and he was brand new. He was brand new. He was just... I don't think it was anything to do with him, if I'm being honest. And he just said, listen, lads, the club want you, out, and that's how it is. I think the thing that not annoyed us, but got to us a lot was that I never had a problem with the club making a decision. Absolutely loved playing for Wolves, but if they made that decision, they make that decision. And realistically, I knew if I, didn't leave anyway, I wasn't going to get in the Ireland squad. I was going to do that. But if they'd asked me to stay, I would have stayed, no problem.
Yeah, I remember talking to you at the time when you were playing.
Yeah. I was like, listen, of course, I was probably struggled to get in the Ireland squad in League One, but I sort of knew that decision was going to be taken out of my hands, and we come back. And I think the thing was, it was more or less, you've been great for the club, you've done well, we'll help you move on, but that's just the decision we made, and then that was grand, but it didn't turn out to be that way, unfortunately.
Because you were, in a way, kind of one of the lucky ones, because you got a decent move out of it, you went on, whereas others kind of couldn't get out on loan initially and kind of got stuck in that bomb squad, as it's always referred to.
And that was a disappointing bit because, and as much as people, have an opinion of people on the outside, the lads that were in that group were good lads. We trained so hard on our own. Bear in mind, we're coming in at 3 o'clock on our own. We were training really hard. We were doing our own pre-season, doing our own running. No one was like tossing it off or not training properly. Everyone was in every day. No one missed a day. And it was more so, I think, just that line of we'll help you get out, and then when something came up for you, they made it terribly difficult to get out, and that's unfortunately hampered a few of the boys getting out, and it was a detriment to them really.
Did it tarnish your view of the place? Because I say you'd had some incredible times in 6-7 years of being a Wolves player. The way it ended.
If I'm honest, yeah, I had a bad taste in my mouth for a while when I left. Yeah. Even when I went on loan to Brighton, I took a pay cut. They wouldn't let me go. They wanted to really, it was basically like, you're not going, unless you take a pay cut. I had to take a pay cut, I had to move my family down, while taking less money than I was on here.
Which wasn't a lot.
Well, considering we've been relegated twice, you're getting cut every time.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to play football, I had to. And it was basically take it or leave it. Brighton, the season had started, Brighton had played 2 games, and I was like, I'll just do it. I said to my agent, just do it, I'll go, not a problem. Then I came back and obviously left in the following summer, and yeah, it did that kind of, the scenario that and how some of the lads, not even myself, Kev Foley was player of the year when we got promoted, was brilliant for us, Carl Henry, club captain, even like Roger and Jamie, and I know it didn't work out for them, but good lads who, it wasn't their fault that they were brought in and given the contracts they were given. They still come in and trained hard in Group 3, and it seemed to be just get really difficult. Kevin Doyle trying to get out, who'd done well for the club.
Yeah.
It was a really strange time in football and in my football career. And yeah, when I left, I had a bit of bad taste in my mouth. I felt like it wasn't handled the right way. Listen, I had no problem at all with them saying, that's it for you at Wolves, you're going to leave. But I felt like and some of the lads there, I'm sure Carl said the same, Kev Foley, we wanted to leave with, leaving a club that you've enjoyed your time there, and that was it really.
So through that time, did you never go and speak to Jez, or did you never go and speak to Kenny Jackett and try and push it or force issue? You can't. You can only go, as a professional, you can only go so far in staying professional. Yeah. If you know that you're getting mugged off left, right and centre. Yeah,
to be honest, I don't have that in me. It's not in my nature to
go against the grain.
Not train as hard as I could or go against them,
Yeah, but there's a few characters in that group that could very well go up and...
Yeah, and to be honest, there was a few conversations probably, I'd say, a few questions of why this was happening, why we were...
Yeah.
At first we were told to come in, but we were in a different group, so we were training on our own, same time as the lads. Then we were told to be in a half 2. Then all our stuff was moved out. Bear in mind, me, Carl, and a few of the lads have been changing the same area for 6-7 seasons, and all our stuff was just moved down to the other end. So it was difficult that we were coming in. We were driving in at 2 o'clock. Everyone was gone home. They employed a separate coach to just come in and train us. We were training. You know, as you drive in down the the patch of grass on the right, that's where we had to train. They wouldn't even let us on the pitches. So yeah, it was difficult. Like it was hard. Like it was tough mentally.
Yeah.
You know, even going home in the day, you don't know where your career's at. You know, you feel like, what am I going to do if I don't get out? I'm going to be training here all day. Where do I go from here? You know, how do I get my next contract? What do I do? You know, because bear in mind that was my last year as well. Well, sorry, I had 2 years left, so I knew if I'd done that for a year, I'd another year to go. If I didn't get out,
Same again.
what do I do next year?
Yeah.
What kind of clubs are going to come in for you next year? You know, what happens if it's the same again? That's 2 years where you're just, playing or training. Sorry, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, it was really tough mentally. Tough for us all.
What was it like coming back with other teams? Was it weird being in that away dressing room? Because you got quite a good reception, I seem to remember.
Yeah. No, it was good. I think it was great. Yeah, it was obviously great to be back. Tough team to play against coming back, but yeah, it was. I think I only came back that one time. The only time was last year. I think because obviously I was at Brighton, and then when Wolves got promoted, I went to Burnley, and we were in the Premier League. So I've only been back once, but yeah, I was on the bench. But when I warmed up, it was great. Like to get a bit of a reception. It was, it's a great club. I'll always have fond memories, even though it ended the way it ended. You sort of, after a couple of months, once you move on, and like I said, I got my it was difficult because I sort of fell out of love with the way football was because of how it was going there. And then once I went back to Brighton and played, I got that, sort of love again and played again, and I ended up getting my move to Burnley from there.
But you still keep an eye on it. I know you're trying to get your son to be a Wolves fan.
Yeah.
It's still a part of this place that means an awful lot to you.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I think the funny thing is in football, when things are happening at a time, you're living in that moment. But now that I've left the club, I've moved on. This club will always have a place, in my heart. It's the club that gave me my grounding, gave me my first chance in England, made me into a left back. So, I had some unbelievable times here, and I've still got some great friends here, and that's probably the most important thing that's come out of it. The 6 years I'm here, I'm still close with a lot of the lads, and that's one thing that in football, Looms will tell you, you're lucky enough if you make 4 or 5 good friends throughout your career. Yeah. Because people move on so much, and we're very lucky that we were able to do that.
It's been brilliant having you in. There is going to be much more from Stephen Ward on our full extended podcast, which is available to download from all the usual places. Massive thanks to Stephen. Massive thanks to everybody who has tuned in, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.